Hey guys, welcome back to another cult movie review with me, Bo, here on the Film Scene Investigation channel. Thank you so much for checking out this review. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the 1984 erotic thriller, Thief of Hearts. Before we get into it, guys, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. All the support is greatly appreciated. So, Thief of Hearts from 1984 was written and directed by the screenwriter Douglas Day Stewart and starred the actor Stephen Bauer in the lead role. The movie's script went through several alterations, several variations and drafts before production finally began in February of 1984. Now, before seeing this movie, I must admit I had no idea that this film even existed. I ended up watching the trailer on YouTube and saw David Caruso was involved, which immediately piqued my interest. As I've mentioned before in other videos, I'm a big fan of David Caruso, and I've seen a majority of his work, but this one specifically had escaped me. So in terms of the film's narrative, it followed the character Scott Muller, a career criminal who was played by actor Stephen Bauer. The character Buddy Calamara was played by actor David Caruso, who was a friend of Scott's and his partner in crime. He and Scott worked closely together to burgle a series of homes across the San Francisco area. At the start of the movie, we saw a really great opening sequence where Scott burgled the home of Mickey and Ray, a rich couple who frequently dined at the same restaurant Buddy worked in. While Mickey and Ray sat in the restaurant having a nice meal together, they had no idea that their home was being raided by Scott. He caused major damage, taking the place apart bit by bit, and we saw him take the contents of the couple's safe, which included Mickey's diary. He then made his getaway, and then we saw the couple come home to see all the carnage that had been left behind. Panicked and confused, the couple decided to ring the police, but when they showed up, they weren't much use. Over the coming days, Scott would end up reading Mickey's diary and became amazed by the intimate revelations that were inside. Scott became so consumed by Mickey's diary, he ended up deciding to infiltrate Mickey's life, pretending to be a businessman who was looking for an interior designer. Scott basically manipulated his way into Mickey's life, pretending to be someone he wasn't. And when it came to Mickey actually meeting Scott for the first time in person, she was enthralled by him. He wowed her with his charm, and it was pretty evident early on that there was some serious sexual tension between the two. Mickey was drawn in by Scott's apparent understanding of her innermost thoughts. But, of course, Scott had secretly read her diaries, so he knew all the right things to say to impress her. So the two would go on to have this love affair, all the while Mickey's husband, Ray, was becoming more and more suspicious over time. Ray could sense that, something was off, something was wrong, but he couldn't seem to identify the problem. Separately to all of that, we saw Buddy kill a cop during a botched robbery attempt with Scott. The two had been burgling yet another house when a cop randomly showed up. The death definitely caused a rift between the two, with Scott telling Buddy that he had gone too far and that there was no need to kill the police officer. As you can imagine, given the severity of the crime, the San Francisco police made it a priority to catch the killer. The authorities had an idea of who was responsible and were closing in, so Buddy decided that it was time for him to leave town for good. Now, one of my biggest takeaways after watching Thief of Hearts was how the film portrayed good and bad. Ultimately, this movie romanticized the idea that cheating on your husband is an acceptable thing, which of course it's not. I mean, when you break it down, Mickey was, I don't know, she was a bit of a twisted individual when you really think about it, since she was happy to have an affair behind her husband's back, all because she felt neglected. You know, if you ask me, I actually felt bad for the Ray character. I mean, he was a hard-working guy who, yes, got a little preoccupied with work, but, I mean, you know, that's no excuse to cheat. I mean, even one of the arguments that they had, Ray told his wife that she should confide in him, she should talk to him rather than write her feelings down in a diary. It was a lack of communication, and of course that works on both sides. So yeah, I just thought it was kind of sleazy that the film portrayed this situation as if it was some liberating experience for Mickey. Maybe if their relationship was an abusive one, then maybe I could understand Mickey's motivations more, but their relationship seemed pretty normal up until the robbery. The Ray character also seemed like a pretty down-to-earth nice guy, so yeah, I mean, to see him get played like he did, I couldn't help but feel sympathetic towards the character. I also want to bring up how the Scott Muller character was portrayed. I mean, in the film, he was shown to be this cool anti-hero that used a gun. You know, and this was also evident from the promotional material we saw when the film was released back in 1984. In reality, the Scott Muller character was a criminal who was stealing and basically getting rich off other people's misery. And also, you know, when you think about it and looking at the actions of what Scott did, he's kind of a weirdo, kind of a creep, because, you know, he got someone's diary and then proceeded to use that information to infiltrate their lives, stalk them, and then seduce them. Whether it be a man or a woman, you know, doing that kind of stuff it's just weird. So, yeah, I found it pretty interesting that the film leaned into the romantic side of things, when in actuality, the relationship between Mickey and Scott was pretty sordid. Evidently, with how things turned out, you know, you kind of also have to put some blame onto the Mickey character, because she was pretty shallow in what she did, cheating on her husband because, she never got enough attention. When it comes to the performances in the movie, I thought David Caruso did a great job as the character Buddy Calamara. This was an early role for David Caruso. So, yeah, I mean, given the limited experience he had, I was actually quite impressed with what he was able to deliver. He had a limited role, but he certainly made the most of the screen time he had, which left a lasting impression. As for the actor Stephen Bauer, I thought he did a pretty okay job, but I can't say that I was wowed by his performance. You know, there was nothing particularly wrong with the performance. I just thought Bauer lacked charisma in certain areas. I've enjoyed Stephen Bauer's work over the years, but to be completely honest with you guys, I've never really seen him as a convincing leading man. He is better in supporting roles, but still, he was solid in this movie. And I must say, I really did like the chemistry he had with actress Barbara Williams. Williams herself was very good in the role as Mickey Davis, a woman who was conflicted with staying loyal to her husband Ray, while also feeling compelled to go on this journey of self-discovery. While I can't say that I'm a big fan of Mickey and her actions in the film, I have to give it up to Barbara Williams, who delivered a compelling and nuanced portrayal. I should also mention the chemistry that she had with actor John Getz, who played her husband Ray. Together, they felt like a real couple who were going through some communication issues, which ultimately led to Mickey cheating on him. And so, dislikes for Thief of Hearts from 1984. My biggest dislike for the film would have to be the somewhat confusing ending with Buddy getting shot. So, in the final moments of the movie, we saw Mickey and Ray return home only to find Buddy at the top of their stairs pointing a gun at them. Before leaving town, Buddy had decided to burgle Mickey's house one more time. Mickey would then pull out her own gun, point it towards Buddy, and warn him to stop. Suddenly, a gunshot went off and we saw Buddy fall down the stairs. He was instantly dead, and it was made to look like Mickey had pulled the trigger, even though she didn't remember doing so. In actuality, Scott was the one that pulled the trigger, as he was upstairs in Mickey's room at the time. Now, I'll be honest, I just don't understand why the filmmakers tried to be ambiguous with who actually shot Buddy. It confused me to the point where I actually went back and rewatched the ending just to, make sense of it all. If you take a moment to break everything down bit by bit, the whole thing was kind of silly, because how could Mickey not remember if she pulled the trigger or not? I know she was in a state of panic, but you would remember if, you pulled the trigger. Also, her husband was standing right next to her, so he would also know whether his wife had pulled the trigger and shot the intruder, yet he just stood there thinking, yeah, Mickey had done it. If they had removed the ambiguity from the scene and maybe inserted a shot of Scott shooting the gun, then yeah, it would have been fine. They played this whodunit scenario before eventually revealing that it was Scott all along. I just thought it was a bad editing choice, to be really honest. And yeah, I don't know, as I said, how would Mickey not know whether she pulled the trigger or not? It's just, I don't know. I found it to be a very weak ending. And so, ratings for Thief of Hearts from 1984. I'm going to be rating this movie a solid 5.5 out of 10. Thief of Hearts was a really enjoyable 90 plus minutes of intrigue and suspense that also touched upon the themes of identity and desire. The film also encapsulated that mid-80s era with the synth pop soundtrack, the glamorous visuals, and the unconventional romance. Overall, I really liked the look and aesthetic of the movie, as it was littered with some really great visuals throughout. From the designer clothes to the sleek interiors. This was a very stylized production that definitely captured that materialistic 80s attitude. One of the scenes I enjoyed the most was its opening sequence with Scott burgling Mickey and Ray's house. With the brooding 80s synth music, building up the tension, I must say the sequence did remind me a lot of the 1981 movie Thief that Michael Mann directed. There was just some, similar elements. And I'm not too sure if that was what the filmmakers were attempting, but it definitely felt like that to me. If you have seen Thief of Hearts, then please let me know your thoughts and memories in the comments section below. For those who haven't, it's a recommendation from me, especially if you're someone that really likes the 80s aesthetic and 80s music, then you'll definitely like this movie. And well, that is all from me today, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed this review of Thief of Hearts from 1984. I will be back next week with another movie review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A big thank you to all the supporters out there who obviously come back and watch all my content. Do appreciate you guys. And I'm gone. Take care.